back to part 3 now with the Swords and the Pentacles of the Paulina Tarot deck. So we've got the Ace of Swords, and swords are communications, intellectual, very mental, solution-oriented cards. There are also, you know, swords cut both ways, so there are some warning cards in the swords. I think more so than the other suits. So let's go ahead and get started. Ace of Swords to me means the light of truth shining through. This is a very powerful, one of the most powerful sword cards in the deck, of course, because it's the ace. Now the Two of Swords is a stalemate card. This is disagreements ending in stalemate where neither party can be budged. And it also means powerlessness to a degree. A person can feel very powerlessness while seeing this card. See, she's blindfolded, so she's not seeing the whole truth of what's going on. But she's armed with two swords and her hands are completely free. So her feeling trapped and ineffective is actually an illusion. Let's move on to 3. Okay, 3 of Swords. This is it's a fun little card. It's a sad card. It's kind of a difficult, emotionally difficult card. But I think it's pretty neat how she used the Queen of Hearts as the depiction of this card. So 3 of Swords is heartache. It can be betrayal. It's definitely emotional pain for sure. Okay, now on to 4 of Swords. 4 of Swords is a card where a warrior, and they've got this gal looking at as though she's a warrior with the helmet on, and the banner, and a few other little things in here in the swords. This says that the battle has been won and now it's a time for rest. So sometimes when we win and get our way, we keep pushing it, maybe rubbing it in some. This card guards against that and says it's time for a much needed and well-earned rest. 5 of Swords. This is a card of betrayal or mistrust and or both. This is an unhappy situation where the person counted on someone and found that they couldn't do that, where they were specifically misled. Okay, now 6 of Swords, my traditional meanings for how I learned the 6 of Swords, and it doesn't really depict that in this card, is either someone is taking a trip over water, or the person being read for, the querent, has either recently taken a trip over water, recently returned, or has one planned in the near future. Or this card can mean building a bridge over troubled waters. So this could be a recent reconciliation or a reconciliation that's coming in the near future. 7 of Swords. This is another mistrust card here. This card is telling you that you may be trusting people or a situation that you really shouldn't be. Like your intuition's telling you deep down inside not to trust what you're being told, or not to trust how the situation is being presented to you. And this card tells you to definitely follow your intuition. Okay, 8 of Swords. This is another interesting card here. This card, this gal is tied up and blindfolded, and she feels very trapped into her life and doesn't see a way out of her current situation, and there's big, huge feelings of hopelessness and helplessness that go along with this card. But the fact of this card is that her hands are not bound. She believes they are, but they are not. So whenever this comes up in a reading, I like to tell the person, you think you're stuck, but you do have the power to get yourself out of it. Okay, Nine of Swords. Now this card points to depression. It can be a very deep depression. It can be a clinical depression, feelings of hopelessness, of defeat, of not seeing a way out of a negative situation. But this really points very much to depression. So either the person that's being read for or someone close to them, and they would know exactly what this is talking about when you lay this card out. So this just brings up the fact that there is depression, and depending on the surrounding cards, what action to take concerning that depression. Ten of Swords. This is another card. There's some rough cards in the sword suit for sure. This card is another card of defeat. But I like this card because it says, okay, what you've tried hasn't worked. It's time to look for a new solution. It's time to try something totally radically different than what you've been trying, because what you've been trying isn't working. And sometimes this card tells you that the best action to take is no action at all, because we don't want to fall on the sword, so to speak. We don't want to take the blame for another or put ourselves in jeopardy due to someone else's bad behavior. That can definitely be a part of this card. But this card is defeat, also with a silver lining of try something different. Your ways have been exhausted. Try something different. Okay, Page of Swords. Now, pages are messages. This person is battle ready, always battle ready. And this is an attitude that in life is sometimes extremely needed. But there are other times in life where this attitude is not appropriate, but yet the person is still battle ready and actually creating a battle due to the attitude of being battle ready. So if you're getting the message to be battle ready, I would definitely recommend listening to your intuition and seeing the best thing to do about it. All right, Knight of Swords. Again, a younger person. Knights rush in and then they deal with problems as the problems arise, which can be a very powerful way to handle things. Knights of Swords are telling you to move forward aggressively and not combatively and not abusively. But let's say you're a student and you're up against a deadline. It's time to not let up on yourself. It's absolutely time to push yourself to the limit and get whatever goal you have in front of you taken care of, because the clock is ticking and you're running out of time. So it's time to aggressively get after your goal. Okay, Queen of Swords. This is one of my favorite ladies in the deck. Now, the Queen of Swords in the deck I normally use, she's got one hand out open and the other hand holding a sword. This card here in this deck, the Paulina Tarot, she's holding a sword and she's got her hand out, but it's kind of down like this. And this card says two things. The Queen is absolutely battle ready, but she's also willing to take a deal and to have a peaceful resolution. The Queen of Swords is, of course, another woman who stands in her power very strongly and unapologetically, but she's always open to receive a peaceful deal. So not one to be crossed. Very, very quick-witted again, and because swords are intellectual, but this lady is extremely smart, both book and street, and she is a formidable enemy. Same thing with King of Swords. Everything I just said applies to the King of Swords as well. And if this card shows up in your life, this could be a boss, this could be a professor, this could be a teacher, it could be a father, one of those older men who is very intellectual over emotional, and sometimes he can be really out of balance and lack compassion as a result of that. So those are the swords. Let's go ahead and move on to the pentacles now. One more quick message about the swords. The swords are air, that's their element, the way I read. And the signs for air are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, so they tie into the sword suit. Okay, now we're up for the Pentacles. Now the Ace of Pentacles, of course, Ace, very powerful card in the deck. Some people look at these as low ones in tarot. I was a blackjack dealer for many years, and aces counted as ones and 11s, so they counted as very low and very high, and I tend to look at them as extremely powerful, fortuitous card. Very good cards to get in a spread. So the Ace of Pentacles, Pentacles are earth. Earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Now, this is material wealth and earthly goods, material stuff, money, all of those things. Ace of Pentacles says very fortuitous financial gain. Two of Pentacles. Now this person is shown riding a running show horse while juggling these two pentacles in the air. And then you've got some stormy waters in this card as well. So this person is very adept at juggling all the aspects of their life, especially concerning bringing in an income. And they're very good at doing this while there's turbulence and some turmoil and high stress. This person's a very high functioning, very talented person at working incredibly well under pressure. Okay, the Three of Pentacles. This is somebody who is mastering their craft. This card can either say you may need a little bit more education, you may need to listen to people who have more experience or who are wiser than you in your chosen field. But this is definitely somebody who is coming into their own as a master of their craft. Now the Four of Pentacles guards against being miserly. This is someone who has mastered making money and is financially in a pretty comfortable spot, but has some financial fear, and to the point where they're being quite miserly with their money and not spending it when they should. Definitely not being reckless with their money, but being very hoarding it, and maybe to the detriment of their family. So this is guarding against being too clingy. Five of Pentacles. This card can point to financial distress, big time, and it can also point to illness. So depending on the surrounding cards, they can always give you more information. Sometimes this is a guard against falling prey to financial fears. This card really is dependent on surrounding cards. Okay, Six of Pentacles. This is either you are in a position to loan money to people, and there's no worries about it. You're completely secure in being able to loan. You're very wise in the money that you do loan out, knowing that it's going to go in the right direction and it's going to be paid back if that's the situation, or that it's going to be used very wisely. This can also mean that there is financial aid available for the person getting the reading, that if they are trying to go to school or start a business or do something where they need some money to get this goal off the ground, that money is available, and this card says to go and look at the avenues where you could get a loan. Always, always guard against interest rates. Make sure if you get a student loan or anything like that, that you're well aware of the conditions of the loan. Okay, Seven of Pentacles. This is someone who's worked very, very hard, and now they are enjoying the fruits of their labor. So this happens a lot when people are going into retirement or something like that, or they've gotten a business started and it's really starting to show profit now. This is going from being in the red to being in the black. Okay, Eight of Pentacles. Now, Eight of Pentacles is a continued studying and honing in of your craft. This card points to you may need a little bit more education concerning your particular field of interest to make your income, make your way in life. And it's very much a student card, and it very much says just go for it. You really need to get this learning under your belt and master this because it's going to pay off really big for you. Okay, that's that one. All right, Nine of Pentacles. This card is a very nice, earthy card. This is happy home life, financial security, all those things that we want in life are happening in this card. For a lot of us, you know, the ability to travel is there, but this card is much more about being very satisfied at home and having our home be exactly as we want it and having plenty of wealth to be able to make it exactly as we want it. Ten of Pentacles. Now this card speaks very highly to financial security and family, health and happiness. There's a lot of closeness and there's a mutual respect for everyone in this card. She's got the little village behind her, the little steeples coming out. And she's got a little deer here. In the deck I normally read from the Hanson Roberts, this is a very family rich card. So very good card, Ten of Pentacles. Okay, Page of Pentacles, financial messages. Also a card of being a student of finances, so learning the stock market, those kinds of things. This card says, you know, be on the lookout for other avenues of making money and becoming wealthy and to be open to all messages coming to you financially. Knight of Pentacles, again, a very aggressive energy, a jump in and we'll figure it out as we go. Now, if this is somebody who has had a lot of failed investments, the worst thing to tell them is to go for it and worry about the problems as they come. This person needs to calculate the risks and take more of an educated, more mature choice. So it can be guard against jumping in, or it can be quit calculating and do it already. So, of course, depending on surrounding cards. Queen of Pentacles, very earthy, fertile. The rabbit is in this card. It's also in the deck that I read normally. And again, she's got the dragonfly wings in this card. And there's quite a bit going on here. A little child down here, a beautiful pentacle over here, a lot of growth, flowers, and just a very happy card. This woman is very grounded, and of course she is a queen, so she is in her power completely, and her powers are healing, fertility, and prosperity, any kind of material gain. This lady's got it dialed in here. Same with the King of Pentacles, only in the male version. Very reasonable, very wise businessman, does not jump in to any kind of financial endeavors without calculating all the risks ahead of time. So there are the Pentacle cards for you, and I hope that you enjoyed this in-depth look at the Paulina Tarot deck, and may your pantry always be full, and may you always have everything you need as you need it. I'll see you next time.